I want to scaffold off of some of the offerings that Maria made this week. She spoke of creating a space to accept herself in the midst of her aspirations for change. And I want to look a bit more closely at all that this contains. It seems that this time around the new year is just the right time to linger on aspirations. It's a new beginning, a time to reassess, reflect, reconsider our direction. New Year's is the obvious new beginning, the one that gets all the attention. But we spend time here because the lessons we learn at New Year's are applicable to all of our beginnings. Each birthday, each new job, each new relationship. And it's funny, although New Year's feels like a long time ago, it's only the second week of January. And it's at this time, about 2 weeks out, that research shows that we begin to fall short of all of our well-intentioned resolutions. And I know my own experience bears that out. I used to belong to a gym, and I remember the crowds that were there right after the new year. I found it personally kind of frustrating because I couldn't do my normal routine. But the staff always said, no worries. Give it a few weeks and attendance will go right back to normal. And they were right. It always did. Or maybe it's the new healthy eating regime, or a commitment to practice every day, or to be kinder to people. It seems that no matter what we resolve to do, our heartfelt resolutions might get shaky about now, 2 weeks out. And so I wonder, why is that? Why is it that we have these wonderful aspirations and yet the effort to meet them is so hard to sustain? Maybe there are a number of reasons, but as I've reflected on this in my own life, I think the answer lies in a big way in how my aspirations become expectations of myself. And so I want to dig in a bit, and you can think about it, whether this feels right to you. I think of aspirations as this really deep wish to move in a certain direction, something that's really motivating. The dictionary definition seems to focus mostly on jobs and livelihood. But I think it's much more than that. We can aspire to be kind, to wake up to our lives, to be a good parent or a good friend. These aspirations are really personal. And they ask us to deeply listen to ourselves and bring forth the deepest wishes from our hearts. It's a total misnomer in Buddhism that if we accept things as they are, that we just have no motivation or aspiration. It's just not true. There's so many examples. Think of the bodhisattva who aspires to alleviate the suffering of all sentient beings. Or the monk who commits his life to understand fully and be released from suffering. Think about the classic phrases that we repeat in the metta practice. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings find peace, happiness, ease of well-being. There are many deeply held aspirations within Buddhism, and they provide us motivational energy to practice well. We can feel them inside if we listen. They're like a gathering of energy, that urge to want to move forward, to change, to do or be better. But remember, in Buddhist perspective, these aspirations may span multiple lifetimes. And right now, for us, in this lifetime, we're in the midst of busy lives, thinking about the realities of the coming year. We do have hopes and wishes, and we have day jobs and families to attend to also. I think we have to keep this reality in mind. This is what Bill was speaking to, if any of you were at the New Year's Eve retreat, when he asked us not to be heroes when we thought about our aspirations for the year. We don't need to be grand and take on too much, but we still can let our wishes be meaningful. And still, even then, we find it hard. It's hard to sustain a better vision of ourselves and the world. So why is that? I think it stems from holding on to expectations of ourselves. Aspirations become expectations, and then the expectations cause us to suffer. Our aspirations quickly and subtly slip into expectations. We can really easily get attached to our wishes coming true. And when they don't, we're disappointed and then we give up. Or we attach to them and try harder and try to be the hero, which rarely goes well. When we have expectations, our minds become agitated and they become full of a lot of shoulds and musts. And our hearts get a little constricted and our bodies tighten up. The joy of the aspiration that we felt has really been deflated by the expectation. And it's right here where we get shaky, where our motivation wanes and where our resolve weakens. This is when we might give up our gym membership or fall off our diet or for whatever else we hoped for. So we move from aspiration to expectation to suffering. This is the wheel of samsara in our lives. This is suffering. Once we see this in ourselves, the question is, can we begin to think about how to approach this dynamic differently? Right now, at the 2-week mark, where things get hard to sustain. So I'm going to ask you to try something with me for a moment. Try just sitting back and saying to yourself, I wish to be kind. I wish to be kind. And notice what that feels like. And now say, I should be kind, or I must be kind. What does that feel like? For me, at least, these two qualities of mind feel really different. The agitation and judgment of expectations feels different from the heartfulness of aspirations. Can you sense that? If you can, I think maybe it's helpful. This information from our body and our hearts might just help us to respond differently. When we hear ourselves say, I must do this, or I should do this, and then when we feel the constriction that those words create in our hearts and bodies, maybe we can consider that feeling like a tap on our shoulder to look a little more closely, hold ourselves a bit more gently, and maybe right then we can change the tape. Maybe instead we might whisper, well, of course this is what disappointment feels like. Or this is what frustration or judgment is. Doesn't feel good. Or, oops, I wasn't very good just then. But I can hold this. I can offer kindness to myself. We know how to create an atmosphere of kindness for ourselves. to create space and hold ourselves gently, especially in the midst of struggles. Instead of rejecting ourselves or speaking harshly, we can offer ourselves a holding environment. And that helps a lot. It steadies us, gives us space, right? And the other thing we know is how to begin again. It's what we do every time our mind wanders, every time we fall out of mindful view. We notice it and gently invite our attention back to our breath or our body and begin again. So remember, every return is a return to our heartfelt wish and our motivation to practice, to find peace, to wake up. It's no different off the cushion in the midst of our lives. We're going to stray away from our wishes and intentions often. And when we notice, we can offer ourselves a heartfelt invitation to start again. So we miss a day at the gym, or even a few days. We can return there today. Or maybe we were impatient and unkind yesterday. We can say, of course, I'm sorry that happened, and start again. Maria spoke so honestly about her efforts to greet the morning differently, giving herself the space to feel what she was feeling and to let go of any expectation of what waking up should be like for her. And without those expectations, her mornings became easier. So moving towards our hopes and wishes, moving towards our aspirations is definitely not a straight line. It will include ups and downs. Hopefully it goes in a certain direction. But we'll find ourselves in this cycle of aspirations turning into expectations. And really, if metta truly is our foundation, then we can hold the ups and downs. Instead of abandoning our wishes, we can start again. So this year, on New Year's, may we move in the direction of our wishes and aspirations, coming a little bit closer to them coming true. Thank you all for your kind attention.